Expelled college students of Reddit. Why are you expelled? Installing Bitcoin miners on all the computers in a video editing lab. Our professor explicitly warned us not to run Bitcoin miners on our university's high performance cluster as that would get you expelled. I highly suspect someone did exactly that the semester before. I shot a firework out of my ass in a campus owned house. Apparently you can get kicked out for not showing up to class and failing everything. Who knew? I had a friend who skipped all classes and failed everything because all he wanted to do was play LOL. He got a warning that if he didn't get his grades up he would be suspended for a year. He got suspended. When he went back to the school a year later the same thing happened again. Now he can't go back to that college again. For being off campus with a member of the opposite sex without proper supervision. No, seriously. A guy and a girl in my uni, which is located in a conservative country, were caught making out in the stairway. Both were legally adults. Girl's parents were called. They took her away, so technically not expelled, and got her married to another guy already lined up. Guy was transferred to lesser known college where he didn't perform well but landed a shitty job. Edit. Greetings, my fellow Indians. I had a particularly rough semester and got D in a class that I had previously dropped after about a week the prior semester because my schedule was too busy then. Department rules say that you can't attempt a class for credit more than twice, including drops, so I got kicked out of my major. I was 14 hours away from graduation at the time. The academic advisor said that I could either change my major, so basically start college all over, or fuck off for a year and then come back on probation. So I guess I'm not expelled per se but I'm taking an involuntary gap year. My roommate got expelled for basically never going to class, not even when there was an important exam. He spent all night smoking weed with me and playing video games, not with me, and then slept all day until about 5 PM. Like I would wake up, go to my 8:30 lecture, get lunch, go to lab 2-5, then come back to my room and my roommate was still sleeping. I found out the following summer that he had gotten a letter from the university asking him not to come back. Last I heard of him, he had enrolled at a commuter school, where he made the dean's list. Not me but happened to a teammate on my rowing team. He got busted for drinking, which isn't an expellable offense, but to get back at the RA that caught him, he shit into a bag, went to the guy's first floor window, and threw it into the RA's room. What made things worse is that the RA had a box fan in the window. The shit hit it and sprayed everywhere in the room. Literally, the shit hit the fan. He was promptly expelled. I was making a search engine for our school teacher evaluation page. It absolutely blew up in popularity and a large portion of the school was using it, about 5k views per day. Essentially it was like rate my professors except it used the evals that they force students to do at the end of the class as data. I also added features that made it more desirable to students. It became so popular that it was showing up on the front page of Google for certain teacher names. Some of those teachers had low ratings and got pissed off and complained. I had unintentionally violated IP laws because the evaluations were under password protections and my site was not. The only reason I didn't get expelled was because the dean of my department had my back. He did research and concluded the information should not have been private in the first place, then sent a public information request to make it so my project did not break the law. I definitely had people asking for my expulsion for a scary amount of time. When I was in college I got suspended 3 times for bad grades. At one point my GPA was a 1.0. I finally got it together and graduated with a degree in finance and a few years later went back and got a second bachelor's in accounting. I think my GPA is a 3.2 now. I'm not working in finance or accounting because I can't find a job. I mostly just hate my life now and wish for death. I spent too much time drinking and not going to class. I was a junior with a 1.6 overall GPA. University said they didn't need my ilk around there and would open my spot for someone who would appreciate it. This got my attention. I went to the dean and talked with him for a couple of hours trying to get back in. He said no, 19 out of 20 of you guys go back to doing the same thing. I told him I would be the exception. He gave me another chance. From then on out it was 4.0 every semester. I finally got my GPA up over 2.5 so I could graduate. I made sure and went back to the dean's office to thank him and tell him that I was that 1 out of 20 that made it. Called the professor, who was several years younger than me, a little shithead while in class for cracking a joke about why I was coming back to college after so long. I was in the military serving in Afghanistan. I unintentionally got another student expelled. We were critiquing websites we had built when I noticed one that looked exactly like mine with a few tweaks. I popped open the source and noticed it was a line-for-line copy of my code with a few changes to the CSS. I brought it up to the professor to protect myself in case he noticed them, though I doubt I would have been suspected. Mine was more cohesive. The changes he did make didn't make the site appealing. Anyway, apparently it was his third time plagiarizing. After twice you go on trial with the school. If you don't get expelled, then a third time is the nail in the coffin. I got expelled in 2004 for inciting a riot. Obligatory. I'm not an expelled college student, but I knew a guy who got expelled from an Ivy League for getting caught with too much cocaine. He works at California Pizza Kitchen now. I went to a private Christian university, and I have a friend who got expelled for supposedly exorcising a demon out of someone in the middle of a wide open courtyard. Wouldn't that technically be a good thing? A kid who worked at my dining hall got expelled and presumably arrested for breaking into girls' dorm rooms and watching them sleep. He had been doing it for a while because people were noticing their doors were unlocked in the morning. He got caught when he tickled a girl's feet. She woke up and screamed. Her roommate woke up and screamed. We all screamed and I picked up his shifts. I was expelled from all college residences for stumbling home from the pub, finding an unlocked door in the food hall, taking 3 10-liter tubs of ice cream and going around on a bike blasting green sleeves pretending to be an ice cream truck at 2 AM. My dad was expelled from college during the height of the Vietnam War for showing up to class drunk and calling the dean a jackass. Apparently he came to visit the class and was giving another student a hard time for wearing a hat inside when he had a medical condition that made him lose all his hair and he was sensitive about it. That's what he claims anyway. He called his mom and told her he was coming home and her response was, "No, you're going straight to a Navy or Air Force recruitment office and enlisting. Now, pick one. I want a call from you in an hour saying which one you've signed up for. Then you can come home." So he talked to some friends and enlisted in the Navy. Sure enough, he gets a notice about a week later that he was drafted into the Army on the same day. The dean called the draft board. The Navy and Army fought over him. The Navy won and he spent the rest of the war as a radar tech in the USS Saratoga. Then he used his military experience to get a job in engineering for a defense company for 35 years. I had a tea party on the roof. I'll try and find the letter. I found it. The letter says, "Your actions yesterday in descending from the G3 window onto the roof of the linked common room and proceeding to picnic on the copper-sheathed roof of C block were extremely ill-considered. You could have slipped, fallen 3 floors and caused injury to a passerby, no doubt damaging yourself in the process. But the real problem is that if you and Mr. Richards have caused any of the copper sheets to become displaced by your walking upon them, then we may have problems shortly with water penetration when it rains. If there is such a problem, you may expect to receive your share of the bill for putting things right. You are fined £10 for reckless activity which could have endangered yourself and others, and 2 penalty points are awarded, bringing your total to 6. If you had not left hall yesterday afternoon, you would have been expelled. You left the hall just in time to avoid being called in to see me about a complaint from the deputy hall manager regarding your having sworn at her in the servery on the 16th of June. Unfortunately, her complaint arrived just too late. Dr. David Stansfield. I put a sock on the fire alarm and got kicked out of halls and expelled. I wasn't even smoking. I was playing with indoor sparklers. I'm starting a new degree this year. I don't think playing with sparklers inside makes them indoor sparklers. Although I could be wrong, I've never hosted AMA because of my sparkler knowledge. I attended Ouachita Baptist University in Arkadelphia, AR. I wasn't expelled per se, but I was pressured to leave. I realized I was gay in high school. It was a lifelong Christian Baptist, and hated myself for it. I went to OBU to try and turn myself straight through religion. During orientation, we had to sign a sexual code of conduct. No pre or extramarital sexual relations. Only heterosexual activity allowed. Applied on and off campus. My first semester there, Another student was expelled for violating this code because he was gay. My second semester, I joined a fraternity. I also accepted my sexuality. I decided to come out to a few brothers that I thought I could trust. I could not. The fraternity put me on notice that there would be a hearing regarding my membership. There was intense social and personal backlash. Then I was put on notice by the school that I was under investigation for my sexuality. The pressure from all sides was too intense, so I left the university. Now, I'm thankful for the experience because I had to grow up real fast. It affirmed my identity and put me on the path to be the successful professional I am today. But man, that sucked.